After a video of me cussing someone out for 2 hours straight without repeating a single expletive went viral, a society matron showed up at my door. 10 million a month, she said, dabbing her eyes with a monogrammed handkerchief. If you marry my son. I was about to call security when she sniffled. He's delicate. After the accident, people keep taking advantage of him. That mouth of yours could protect him. At the charity gala, I watched Ethan shrink into his wheelchair while socialites made veiled digs about tragic accidents and failed bloodlines. The way his long fingers trembled against the armrest did something funny to my chest. Deal. I heard myself say. I should have questioned why the Johnson family needed a human shield. I definitely should have wondered about the way Ethan's soft thank you after I eviscerated his cousin Mason carried the faintest metallic edge. But mostly, I wondered about the cold precision of his smile the night I found him enthroned in our penthouse study. Dozens of ruined men knelt on marble, begging mercy from the king of Wall Street's shadow economy. Lily. I hissed into my phone later. You said your son was fragile. Chapter 1. The Johnson matriarch's laughter tinkled like champagne flutes. Darling. Haven't you heard? Porcelain breaks bones when wielded properly. Ethan. Heard about the wedding. Mason drawled, swirling his bourbon. If you can't perform your marital duties, his gaze crawled over my strapless Versace. I'd be happy to assist. I stepped between them, smile sharp enough to draw blood. Planning to watch from the closet? We've got a kennel that might suit you. My eyes swept his tailored Brioni suit with deliberate disdain. Though I prefer dogs who bite instead of yap. Tell me, do you bark for treats or just from incompetence? His Rolex clinked against trembling glass. You vulgar little. Ladies and gentlemen, I announced sweetly. The restrooms are temporarily closed. A titter rippled through nearby guests. Seems Mr. Mason here brought his own portable toilet. The ensuing scarlet flush traveled from his Windsor-knotted neck to receding hairline. You're disgusting. My dear. I purred, adjusting Ethan's cashmere lap blanket. That was the PG version. Later, as moonlight gilded Ethan's artfully disheveled hair, his fingers brushed mine. Thank you, he murmured, all wounded gazelle vulnerability. My stupid heart did a backflip. Don't worry, I vowed, tucking the blanket tighter. I'll always protect you. His answering smile could have powered Manhattan. I'll hold you to that, wife. The way wife curled around his tongue turned my cheeks into twin stoplights. Our marriage began like some Lifetime movie gone rogue. Picture this, me, knee-deep in suds during a mid-laundry blackout. When some influencer starts narrating my life as a literate village girl chained to washboard. These poor souls have never seen electricity. The influencer pontificated, panning across my grandmother's Wi-Fi router. Your donations could. I emerged wielding a laundry paddle like Excalibur. The fuck you say? What followed was an R-rated TED Talk on consent, cultural appropriation, and creative anatomy suggestions involving cacti. 2 hours later, 15K viewers watched me brandish my Stanford diploma at a sobbing content creator. The clip, Ivy League Valkyrie destroys poverty porn, trended for weeks. Comments ranged from marry me to does she do corporate training? I was busy air-drying my favorite band tee when Lily Johnson arrived in a cloud of Chanel No. 5 and maternal desperation. Now here I stood, fake wife to Wall Street's favorite victim, wondering when protecting started feeling like being groomed as a tack dog for a wolf in sheep's clothing. The comments under my posts started filling up with people even offering to pay me to keep roasting others. I didn't take it seriously until a few days later when I received a call. The voice on the other end cut straight to the point, 10 million. Marry my son. It sounded like a prank. Then I found myself standing in front of their 3-story mansion. Wait. You're actually serious? A lavishly dressed woman, Lily Johnson, explained that her youngest son, Ethan, had recently survived a car accident but would now require a wheelchair. The the constant veiled mockery from their social circle had pushed her to seek someone exactly like me, educated enough to be respectable yet sharp-tongued enough to eviscerate anyone daring to belittle her son. I was, in her words, the perfect storm, no, the perfect daughter-in-law. Absurd? Sure, but the kind of absurdity that somehow made twisted sense. I hesitated. Marriage is a lifelong commitment. 10 million. Could I at least meet your son first? 10 million per month. You got it, Mom. At 10 million a month, I'd have married a literal toad. Except Ethan wasn't a toad. He was heart-stoppingly gorgeous, outshining even the thirst trap influencers flooding my feed. More importantly, as he sat there in his wheelchair, calm, composed, yet weathering snide remarks from guests, something primal kicked in. I didn't get it. How could anyone mock someone from the Johnson family, especially with Lily's influence? Then I noticed Mason, Ethan's older brother, holding court at the center of the room. Ah, the classic power play. Ethan's face paled, but he stayed silent. Growing up, I'd never backed down from a fight or hesitated to tear into bullies. But helpless resignation? That melted me every time. Rage boiled in my veins. This man was under my protection now. Ethan turned out to be disarmingly kind, refusing to wallow in bitterness despite his circumstances. Meanwhile, I fired 3 maids on day 1 for leaking details of his life to Mason's sycophants. As I lectured them, Ethan quietly handed me a glass of water afterward. You must be thirsty. How could anyone hurt someone so gentle? That night, Ethan offered me an out. I know this marriage isn't what you wanted. Take any room you like, even mine. I'll move. I vetoed immediately. You need care. I'm staying right here. I set up a cot beside his bed to avoid jostling his injuries. Hours later, half asleep, I heard his voice, cold, lethal, no loose ends. He thinks dying would end this? Even dead, he'll pay. My eyes flew open. Was his kindness a facade? Had despair driven him to? I bolted to the balcony. There he sat, bathed in moonlight, discarded crutches and wheelchair nearby. His head turned, sharpness flickering in his gaze before softening. Couldn't make it back to bed? I blurted, heart clenching. You should have woken me. I sleep like a rock. He blinked, the earlier edge dissolving into something unreadable. I didn't want to disturb you. Disturb me anytime, I said, hauling his wheelchair closer. That's what I'm here for. His fingers brushed mine as I adjusted the blanket. A shiver ran through him, or was it me? Later, I'd wonder about that midnight conversation. But for now, I focused on one truth: the Johnsons' world was a viper's nest. And Ethan? He'd just become my favorite snake to protect. I pushed Ethan's wheelchair over and carefully helped him back to bed. Lying there, I kept tossing and turning, his words "maybe I should just die" echoing in my mind. Unexpectedly, we spoke simultaneously. Did you hear something? You need to stay strong and keep living. The room plunged into heavy silence. I assumed Ethan was depressed after being caught in his vulnerable moment. After some thought, I slipped off the daybed and crawled onto Ethan's mattress, gently taking his hand. I know this is hard to accept. Tomorrow we'll consult more specialists. There must be experts somewhere in the world. Besides, medical technology keeps advancing. Even if there's no cure now, that could change. As long as you're alive, there's hope. I squeezed his hand absently. The pampered air skin felt incredibly smooth beneath my fingers. When Ethan cleared his throat awkwardly, I snapped out of my distracted state and added, "And don't worry about those gossips. I'll teach them some manners." Turns out I got scammed. Our prenuptial agreement promised $10 million monthly. But after marriage it became all expenses for Ethan and yourself come from this $10 million. Staring at the butler's expense report, I frantically checked our account balance. Ethan sat meekly beside me, cheeks flushed. "I'm dragging you down," he murmured. I understood the unspoken truth. In cutthroat family dynasties, a healthy Ethan might have stood a chance against his shrewd brother Mason. But with his paralyzed legs, he became disposable, reduced to begging for family allowances. The Johnsons could easily afford more, but saw no value in their damaged heir. $10 million's plenty, I reassured him. After comforting my fragile husband, I summoned the butler, my smile vanishing. "It's not even mid-month and we've spent $5 million already?" My eyes bulged, scanning the ledger. $300 for a bag of ice? Did they mine it from Mount Olympus? Wait, $10K airfare surcharge for beef? My biggest revelation? Capitalists don't overcharge the poor. Those pearl earrings I received last week? Plastic resin. The $5K bracelet? Copper plating. I halted the butler mid-explanation. Cancel all future jewelry purchases. I'd rather buy solid gold that holds value. Or get real pearls for $15 at the mall. Saved $3,900 instantly. Screw luxury markups. At lunch, I watched Ethan meticulously cut his steak. Under my intense gaze, he hesitantly offered his fork. "Want some?" "No. No. You enjoy it," I urged, leaning forward eagerly. He chewed cautiously under my scrutiny. "Good?" When he nodded, I pressed with a conspiratorial smile. "Notice any difference from yesterday's steak?" Ethan froze mid-bite, fork hovering as he stared at the meat in sudden confusion. "Look! That Australian air-freighted beef is fundamentally no different from the pasture-raised cattle we butcher fresh here. I've solidly saved that money. Humph. Those corporate fat cats won't swindle another dime from me." With Mason's birthday banquet approaching at month's end, I summoned the steward after lunch and splurged on $50K worth of lapel pins and cufflinks for Ethan. He happened to walk in as I was finalizing the order. "You called these luxury items capitalist price gouging," Ethan remarked, leaning against the door frame. "Sold off your jewelry collection last week. Yet now you're ordering extravagant accessories?" I handed him the design portfolio. "Personally, I couldn't care less about finery. But your brother's event will be crawling with those society vultures who judge worth by tailoring. We can't let them sneer behind their champagne flutes." As for me, I shrugged. Everyone knows I'm country bred. No one expects designer labels from a farm girl. Worst case, I'll just curse them out in dialect. Ethan's laugh crinkled the corners of his eyes as he snapped the catalog shut. "Then I don't need these either. You can insult anyone who side-eyes my outfit too." The banquet unfolded exactly as predicted, a minefield of Mason's sycophants eager to disparage Ethan. For this battle royale, I'd specially trained with our village's most foul-mouthed aunties, mastering creative rural insults. Ethan found me later testing lipstick shades. After serious consideration, he selected a bullet of crimson satin. "This one," he insisted, replacing my nude choice. "Queen's crimson." I approved, blotting my lips. Instant authority boost. "This shade will dominate the room." Ethan's thumb brushed my lower lip before smearing the pigment across his own mouth. "Dominant enough?" he murmured, the rouge staining his smirk. My cheeks burned clear to the driveway. The man flirted like a professional. Just as I'd cooled down, he clasped a multi-gem bracelet around my wrist in the car. Sunlight fractured through citrines and sapphires. "You rebel," I teased, admiring the glitter. We agreed on minimalist frugality. His eyelashes dipped mischievously. Allow a man some secret savings. Fashionably late, we entered a ballroom of deliberately averted gazes. The snub tactic, an upgrade from previous heckling after my last verbal evisceration. I wheeled Ethan toward canapes, monitoring his bites. His accident-induced frailty required constant nourishment. Our intimate routine drew scowls from across the room. Mason materialized with cloying concern. Dressed like paupers. He tooted. Swirling bourbon. Has your staff been embezzling? You must inform me if funds run low. His lackey chimed in, vultures circle the vulnerable. Family fortunes require vigilant oversight. My eye roll prepared a scathing retort when Ethan squeezed my hand. Actually, he purred, lacing our fingers through the gemstone bracelet. We find authenticity more valuable than facades. His thumb stroked my pulse point. Unlike those requiring performances to feel important. Mason's neck mottled red as I bit back laughter. Our opponents never learn true power needs no gilded armor. I chuckled and looked down at Ethan. Is this your grandson? Ethan looked up at me, puzzled. The man snapped. Some country bumpkin. I'm not even a Johnson. Exactly. You're not a Johnson. So why meddle in Johnson affairs? I tilted my head. Reaching into our family business, I almost thought you were Ethan's secret love child. Mason frowned at me. These are all Johnson family guests. Stop embarrassing us. Ethan's eyes darkened, his expression turning stormy. Honestly, how could the Johnsons let trash like you through the door? The man sneered, tainting their legacy. First the crippled son, now this? Pathetic taste runs in the family. I leaned closer to Ethan's wheelchair. Got much in your secret stash? When he nodded, I straightened up and smashed my fist into the man's eye socket. His scream shattered the party's veneer of civility. Mason lunged forward, how dare you, only to eat my left hook. Chaos erupted. I grabbed Ethan's wheelchair handles and bolted, careening through manicured hedges until we skidded into the rose garden. Collapsing on the grass, I found Ethan grinning like we'd just robbed a bank. Not mad about the fireworks. Mr. Johnson? His laughter surprised us both. What's the verdict? He asked, mimicking my earlier tone. Fucking glorious. Oh God. I'd corrupted the family's golden boy. Digging in my pocket, I produced 2 stolen petit fours, one tragically crushed. Ethan broke his surviving pastry in half with regal dignity. There we were, me sprawled on the dirt. Him in his wheelchair, 2 outlaws splitting contraband macarons. Feel like we're those down-and-out socialites from the tabloids yet? I mumbled through crumbs. Famous last words. 2 weeks later, the Johnson Empire imploded. Old money dynasties don't collapse overnight unless someone's rigging the demolition. When Ethan quietly admitted the family could no longer fund his care, realization hit. Mason. This had Mason's fingerprints all over it. You're free to leave any time. Ethan said too casually. Sunlight glinting off his wedding band as he stared at the foreclosure notices. I'll understand. Don't be ridiculous. I hugged him tight, too busy raging at his brother's betrayal to notice the calculating glint in his eyes. My rural cottage swallowed Ethan's designer wheelchair whole. He kept running his fingers over the exposed brick walls like they might bite. Built it myself after the family disowned me. I explained, pushing him past the vegetable patch. Solar lights flickered on as dusk fell. Why'd you get cut off? His smile didn't reach his eyes. Same reason anyone abandons damaged goods. It's all about favoring sons over daughters. At home, I'm just a workhorse for my younger brother. Not even allowed to read. Had to escape. Refuse? Then fight them. You think I was born knowing how to curse? Learned it through real battles. These people are all bullies and hypocrites. Why else would they preach about women's obedience? Scared we'll all become fierce she-wolves they can't control. Returning to my sanctuary, I finally relaxed and chatted more with Ethan than usual. That night under the soft glow of my bedside lamp, the atmosphere turned intimate. Ethan reclined on the bed with those soulful eyes fixed on me. I bounced onto the mattress excitedly. Let's do something important. Grabbing the pouch from my nightstand, I announced, time to review our assets. Ethan's tender expression shattered. $10 million a month might be pocket change for your family, But it's lifetimes of earnings for people like me. I've been cutting expenses for months preparing for this. His face tightened. Your brother clearly sees you as competition. As for your mother, she loves you but will ultimately side with Mason. Why else would she stay silent during your humiliation and bring me in as cannon fodder instead? After the Johnsons lost most of their fortune, Mason's been guarding the scraps while Lily vanished completely. Don't worry. This money can secure our future. We settled into our new routine. With financial security and this gorgeous man around, life felt perfect. Just when I thought fate couldn't be kinder, our new neighbor arrived, Ryan, the college student's son, home for break. All charming smiles when borrowing sugar. Exactly the kind of eye candy I appreciate. Ouch! Ethan's pained gasp interrupted my chat with Ryan. I rushed inside to find him pale but reassuring, just leg cramps. Shouldn't you offer our guests some tea? Forget hospitality. Ethan hadn't had any pain since we moved here. Our remote location meant limited medical access. I fretted over his legs, massaging and kneading despite his protests. The cramps kept returning. I became his shadow, refusing to leave his side. During my pharmacy run, I returned to find Ethan conversing with Ryan over the fence. The younger man fled at my approach, leaving Ethan staring at his hands. Amelia, he said quietly when I reached him. If you find someone who can truly care for you, let me go. I just want your happiness. What's this sudden talk? Had Ryan said something? But Ethan refused to explain. That night, I found him submerged in the bathtub, steam curling around his unfairly toned physique. Seriously, how does he stay fit without exercise? Life's just not fair. The thought churned in my mind as I stared blankly at Ethan. He smiled faintly. Want to touch it? Before he finished speaking, my hand had already darted out. Ethan reclined in the bathtub, arms spread in invitation. Just as I became engrossed in tracing the water droplets on his collarbone, his hands shot out to drag me into the tub. I struggled instinctively, only to have his arm lock around my waist. Don't squirm, sweetheart. His breath ghosted over my ear. You wouldn't want my leg acting up again, would you? They say pitying men brings misfortune. If I hadn't felt sorry for Ethan's injured leg, I wouldn't be lying here dehydrated as jerky while the perpetrator played with my fingers. Morning, darling. He beamed, those puppy dog eyes lighting up. Didn't you promise yesterday you'd never leave me? No matter what. I tried yanking my hand back, voice hoarse from last night's activities. Didn't. The light in his eyes died instantly. I understand. I'm just a burden. Fine. I said it. I promised. I snapped, helpless against his wounded expression. Wise people avoid love's river, yet fools like me keep wading in. Lately though, Ethan had been acting strange. The once reserved man now clung like a limpet, constantly extracting promises of eternal commitment, as if I were some heartless playgirl who'd ditch him at sunrise. Everything changed that night. Feigning illness had bought me rare uninterrupted sleep, making me alert to the missing creak of wheelchair wheels when Ethan slipped out. My eyes flew open just in time to see his silhouette standing upright in the doorway. No medical miracle here. That little shit had been lying about his paralysis. I followed silently. Moonlight revealed Ethan's icy profile as he stared down at three groveling men. His polished Oxford crushed a trembling hand against the cobblestones. Our gazes collided mid-crush. Instantly, his expression melted into familiar vulnerability. The truth unfolded like trashy airport novels: corporate espionage, staged accidents, brotherly betrayal. Mason had orchestrated the car crash, never guessing his baby brother's countermove involved playing disabled lover in my tiny apartment. Now the real game began. The collapse of the Johnson family's capital chain was Ethan's calculated purge. He used this opportunity to sever ties with the Johnsons before launching ruthless counterattacks. As for his supposedly broken leg, it had been perfectly functional all along. So you're completely healthy now and sitting on a massive fortune? I asked, watching Ethan perch obediently on the sofa. He nodded cautiously before hastily adding, I did injure my leg in that accident. It still aches during humid weather. His eyelashes dipped, sculpting that pitiful puppy expression I knew too well. You promised never to abandon me. No matter what. I snorted, meeting his anxious gaze before springing up to pack my bags. Holy crap. The kind of life I'm about to live. Of course I'm not leaving, I'm moving back to your mansion. Anyone fleeing this situation would be an idiot. My supposedly disabled husband had morphed into a healthy financial titan overnight. Do I still get the $10 million monthly allowance? I couldn't help verifying during our drive home. Ethan's expression turned complicated. Double it. My cheer echoed through the car as I tackled him with a hug, while Ethan remained tangled in his web of hesitations. I embraced our new reality with gusto, enthusiastically settling into the palatial estate he'd prepared. Ethan's resurgence sent shockwaves through elite circles. Daily, trembling visitors crawled to our doorstep begging forgiveness, many whom I'd previously cursed out. Ethan would glance my way during these performances, but I remained preoccupied tracing the satin-smooth curves of our spiral staircase for the 100th time. He transferred ownership of this architectural masterpiece to me yesterday. This dream house, mine? Hell yes. With Ethan's skyrocketing net worth came exponentially multiplying gold diggers. Frankly, I couldn't care less. $2 million a month could buy my silence through a dozen mistresses. Yet Ethan insisted on dragging me into every social skirmish. At galas, whenever some social climber tried pressing against him, he'd deftly sidestep while murmuring, apologies. But my better half's the jealous type. Cue my grand entrance, verbally eviscerating every hanger-on with precision. My reputation as a dragon lady, first earned during Ethan's wheelchair charade, now reached legendary status. Whatever. The paycheck justified the theatrics. Tonight's scene felt different. Arriving at Ethan's summons, I found him tipsy beside a designer-clad heiress radiating such entitlement. I briefly questioned who actually held the wife card here. Sophia, Ethan's former fiancée. Some busybody whispered, "Aw, the ex." I nodded courteously. Pleasure. Mia. Was it? She sneered. Know your place. You're just some country bumpkin who doesn't deserve Ethan. Walk away gracefully. Classic soap opera dialogue. I steadied Ethan against me. But he pays me $20 million monthly. Since your family's loaded, care to outbid him? Sophia's sharp inhale could have sucked nearby napkins into her nostrils. You're college-educated yet choose to be a parasite? No shame? Shame? I echoed theatrically. I'm a pink-collar worker. You know. Carry a pink-collar job. Earn $300-500 a month. What would you choose? Ethan didn't seem pleased. After we got home, I confirmed he was sober but he still remained quiet. Sitting on the couch deep in thought, he suddenly blurted out, Honey, maybe you should just yell at me. Since when did people request this? I think you don't really love me, you just love my money. Heavens sake. That's completely unfair. I can't keep my hands off your abs every night. How does that mean I don't love you? No. Ethan looked conflicted. Not that kind of not loving. I feel like you're not fully invested. When I kept that huge secret from you, you didn't even get angry. That means your feelings aren't that deep. What kind of logic is this? I cautiously asked. So what should I do? Be hurt. Get furious. Give me the cold shoulder. Watch me beg for forgiveness. And then? Finally grant me pardon so we can reunite. Exactly. I slapped my thigh. We've already reached the happy ending. Ethan tried to argue but I pinched his cheeks. Ethan, I know what's eating you. First, you've never wronged me. Second, I live authentically, love fiercely, hate openly. No drama. No overthinking. I choose what's best for me without hurting others. Call me ambitious if you want. I couldn't care less because I'm absolutely certain I'm building a future with someone I adore. I won't ruin the present dwelling on the past. Current happiness matters most. Epilogue: Ethan's accident. News of Ethan's broken leg spread like wildfire. Exactly as planned. Mason could barely contain his glee, while many acquaintances performed instant attitude shifts. Ethan smirked coldly perfect. He'd settle scores with every last one of them. The unexpected variable was his heaven-sent wife. Initially suspecting her as Mason or Lily's spy, he concluded after days of observation, definitely not Mason's plant. Must be after money then. 10 million monthly mothers being unusually generous. Though crocodile tears given how she's suppressing the accident investigation to protect her eldest. He deliberately instructed the butler to blur the 10 million as joint expenses, even fabricating outrageous luxury bills. Predictably, she panicked and slashed mansion expenditures. Just another petty gold digger. Yet, he found himself oddly drawn in, especially when she kept shielding him physically. After years navigating aristocratic hypocrisy, her bluntness felt liberating. The word startled even himself. Knowing exactly what she was, he still got infected by her authenticity. Being with her brought uncomplicated joy when he wasn't feigning vulnerability. He'd always considered repeated mercy toward others' weakness as useless naivety. Yet here he was, exploiting her compassion again and again. It seemed this was the only way Ethan could capture her attention. Later he realized, perhaps from the moment he started playing the victim, this relationship was destined to leave him at a disadvantage. On the surface, Mia kept moving toward him, but in reality, he had to scheme relentlessly just to earn another crumb of her care, another shred of affection. When the bankruptcy drama finally unfolded, even as the bloodthirsty beast within him reveled in the approaching feast, Ethan felt an unexpected twinge of unease. Would his little gold-digging wife abandon him now? What a pity that would be. Not because her long con would fail, but because he'd lose the chance to keep playing doting husband. But perhaps there's no need for regret. If she loved money, he'd simply reclaim her after finishing his grand scheme. Coercion. Incentives, though after one betrayal, his methods wouldn't be gentle. The thought made him almost giddy. Seeing his meek, wounded puppy demeanor, I couldn't help but comfort him. That wife he'd mistaken for a mercenary shockingly chose to stand by him. Even the financial irregularities he'd suspected were just her contingency plans. Scheming minds fear transparent souls most. They become mirrors reflecting every ugly flaw. Despite holding all the cards, Ethan kept delaying his endgame. Suddenly, he dreaded her discovering the truth. Would she accept his darkness? So this was the fear of homecoming. When she embraced him without anger, his relief soured. Why wasn't she furious? Didn't she care enough to scream? The master manipulator who'd slept soundly through his own machinations now lay awake. He tested Mia with mentions of Sophia. Yet she remained unshaken. Her words finally revealed the truth. From the beginning, Mia had seen through everything with crystalline clarity. Warm, forthright, vibrant, she lived wholly in the present, offering kindness without entanglement. She'd forever blaze like the sun, and he'd gladly bask in that light, letting it scorch away his shadows. End.